Here's the sixth and final tutorial. We made it. We're finally on the combat tracker screen. If the initiative pop-up screen isn't showing up, click on the initiative button. It's the D20 die with the red cross swords behind it at the center bottom of the screen. You'll see there's two tabs on it, one for the characters and one for the monsters. You can auto-roll for the characters and that will fill in the character initiatives for them. But most likely your players will want to roll their own initiatives. In this case, just manually fill in the initiatives with whatever they tell you. Enter their initiatives with all adjustments already applied, as the system doesn't adjust initiatives that are manually entered. Now click on the Monster tab, and you can click the Auto Roll button and all the monsters will have their initiatives filled in, with all adjustments applied. If you enjoy rolling monster initiatives manually, you can do that too. If we have gotten the programming done for side initiative for monsters, you'll see that at the top of the initiative pop-up screen. So if you want all of your monsters to have the same initiative, you can manually roll it and add the initiative to all the monsters. But don't forget, manual initiatives don't have any adjustments applied to them. If your monsters have the same consistent initiative adjustment, you could roll the auto initiative, then manually repeat the first initiative for the first monster showing into all the other monsters. One last thing before you click that big green button at the bottom of the pop-up screen. If you're the type of game master that likes to keep the same initiative for all combatants for every combat round, make sure the checkbox on the upper right of the initiative pop-up screen is unchecked. This checkbox is titled Reroll Initiative Each Round. If you do like to reroll initiatives each round, click this checkbox so it shows filled in. If you do this, when you click the Next Round button, the button with the black circle in the lower right area of the combat screen, this initiative list will automatically pop up for you, reminding you to reroll initiatives. Okay, let's click that big green button and close this initiative pop-up screen. You'll see the initiative list on the left side of the screen is now ordered in descending order of initiative. Any monsters or characters not in combat are at the bottom of the initiative list. At any time, you can add or remove combatants from this combat by simply clicking the In Combat checkbox when you see the monster or character in the center or left panels of the screen. On the left side of the screen, you'll see the first combatant at the top has the blue border around it. This shows you it's this combatant's turn, and they are the combatant in the panel immediately to the right of this initiative list. You'll see this combatant has the text Current Combatant next to the monster name or character name. Just a reminder from my previous tutorial, if you have a unique number or color or some other unique identifier to each monster, it will go a long way in making running combat much easier for you. Now that you know whose turn it is, as the game master, you just need to decide which other combatant the current combatant is going to attack. All the attack summaries are present on the current combatant's panel to help you decide the type of attack they'll attempt. To see a defender, just click the select button on the initiative list on the left side of the screen, and the system will pull up that defender's info on the rightmost panel. This way, you can see the attacker's info and the defender's info side by side. You can peruse through all of the combatants by clicking on the select button and viewing their info in the rightmost panel. Once you've settled on a defender, roll whatever dice are necessary, and that combatant's turn will end. Just as a side note, we're having a little problem with that select button being a little buggy, so you may need to click it once or twice to get a defender to properly show up on the rightmost side panel. There's a D20 die roller for you on the screen, so you don't have to roll everything manually for now. It's the blue button on the bottom center of the screen. Eventually, we will have all the various dice types programmed into the system, but for now, it's just the D20. To go to the next combatant, just click the green double arrow Next Combatant button on the lower right side of the screen, and this will move the blue border down to the next combatant on the left side of the screen. As combat progresses, there's lots of info on the screens you can change and save, so you don't have to manually keep track of hit points, conditions combatants have applied to them, etc. There's also a blue boxed area for each combatant called Combat Notes, for anything out of the ordinary you need to keep track of for that specific combatant during combat. There's also a section at the bottom of the screen called Encounter Notes that you can make notes in as combat progresses. These note sections should help you keep track of all the things that happen in combat that can easily be forgotten. Even though you'll see death savings throws in the monster panels, it's not necessary to keep track of this unless you have a monster, usually an NPC type, that gets to make these saves. You can also make a note if a character or monster is going to take the ready action, and this note will appear beneath the monster or character in the initiative list on the left side of the screen. If you click the incapacitated checkbox in a character or monster, it will move them to the bottom of the initiative list with the word incapacitated next to them. If it's a character, NPC, or monster that's allowed to have death saves, don't forget to make their roll each round. You may want to put a note in the Encounter Notes field at the bottom of the screen to help you remember this. Remember, we are in beta test mode right now, so if your screen freezes up and you see this message at the bottom of the screen that says, "An error has occurred. This application may no longer respond until reloaded. Reload." Just click the reload link and it will reload the web page, and you should be able to move forward with combat. If that doesn't work, just click the browser's refresh icon. If you don't see the blue combatant border around the current combatant, just complete whoever's turn it is and click Next Combatant, and the border should reappear. And then you can advance it to the appropriate combatant's turn. Once you've cycled through all the participating combatants, just click the next round icon at the bottom right of the screen. It's the black circle, and start the next round of combat, or roll up initiative if you're re-rolling initiative each round. If you have to quit your game session in the middle of combat, just click the Leave Combat button that's towards the lower center of the screen. We don't have a pop-up as of the reading of this tutorial asking, "Are you sure you want to leave combat?" So make sure this is what you want to do. But don't worry, if you do accidentally leave combat in this fashion, you can just re-enter the same combat encounter via the combat setup screen again. If combat is completed for this encounter, click the Finish Combat button. You'll get this pop-up asking if you want to confirm ending combat. Doing so will clear out this combat encounter and some of the temporary things like the character's conditions, current hit points, etc. Your players should mark their character sheets appropriately with things like lost hit points. And that's it. Enjoy using the software to help you run your games. Check out the Coming Soon page, and please report any errors you encounter via the Send Us Feedback link, and any suggestions for improvements to this site to make running games easier and more enjoyable. Go have a blast!